Hey guys, so I'm just making a video here just to show you how to theme everything. So here I'm running Debian 11, but what I want to do is I want to show you how one would theme everything from scratch basically, and despite the fact that I'm sort of using Debian 11, which uses an older version of GNOME, I'm going to show you how to do this on a much newer version of GNOME, actually with a different operating system called Ubuntu. Just because I think it's a little bit more popular and probably a bit more applicable to most users. So I'll show you how to do it really with that on the latest testing release of Ubuntu, which is Jellyfish, I believe, 22.04. And really you'll see it's actually really no different to anything. It's the same kind of no matter what version you're on, and it'll end up kind of looking exactly the same. So don't be too stressed out what version of GNOME you're running if you want to sort of theme it like this and sort of have these sort of theme options. And this is actually a screenshot I've taken just to show you what the default looks like of Ubuntu when you first sort of log in. And we'll compare this sort of default to what it looks like when we're done. So if I just open up and turn on my VM here, we'll just log in and I will show you basically step by step what to do. I have previously logged into this VM obviously and installed one package just to sort of speed up this process a little bit, and that package was the Edge browser, which is makes things a little bit easier to theme if you have the Edge browser installed. I'll show you why. Theme 1, so let's just type that in. Okay. So yeah, I would recommend just putting that browser on just because the extension, the GNOME extension, doesn't play very nice with the snap package, which you get with Firefox. So I've kind of installed Edge. The instructions are pretty easy. You just open a terminal. I'll kind of just go through them again. But I'll post this as well in sort of the instructions in the description. But it's going to be pretty basic. You're just going to basically copy and paste some stuff to get Edge on here. And it'll be like something along this line. I think I had to do this first. So I think curl didn't come with Ubuntu for some reason. Normally curl comes with most distributions as far as I'm aware. But apparently not with Ubuntu, so let's just paste in what you need. So these are the kind of commands that you're going to be putting in to install Edge. And again, these will definitely be all pasted in for you, so you can copy and paste. But we basically just want Microsoft Edge on here. I believe you could use probably Chromium as well, as long as it's not the snap package, as I was saying. Just the snap package has a little bit of an issue with getting down your extensions, so let's just sort of choose the path of least resistance here. And that would be sort of the process of getting Edge installed, which you could then pin here. And the reason you want to have sort of a deb version of the browser, at least for now, is just because when you go and use the GNOME extensions, it is a lot easier to install them, basically. It's just saving you a lot of time and trouble. So if we go here, and we find here that it says click here to install the browser extension, that's what we want to do. We want to allow the extensions from other sources, and we want to install this GNOME extension which says add to Chrome, but it's going to add it to Edge. And we're going to then click on it, and it's going to take us to our extensions, basically. And we can see our installed extensions here. Oops, in fact I need to just close and reopen, don't I? Okay. Okay, give me a second while I sort this out, because actually this is the exact error that we're trying to avoid. So just give me a second and I'll be back once I figured this out. So just let me pause here. Okay, so I just figured this out. So basically I had to install one more package, which was this command here, install chrome-gnome-shell. And when you do that, you essentially don't get that error anymore. So basically when I go here now, we find that all the extensions basically work, and this is exactly what we want. Basically we want all of these extensions to function in this way from this web page, so it's super easy to get the extensions and configure them and update them and all of that sort of stuff. So I will make sure I post that command in the instructions as well, so you don't need to remember it. It's going to be all saved for you, basically. So let's carry this on. So essentially, if I go to my extensions that I have here, we're going to basically copy over the extensions that I have on this installation and start putting them in here. And then do some other stuff like add some fonts, and this is sort of Conky, so we're going to add that as well. And I think pretty much once we've done that, we should be fairly close unless I forget one or two things, basically. So let's start by getting all the extensions we need. So the first one we're going to get is app indicator, and it's this one here, so let's just turn this one on. And the next one we need is arc menu. We're going to have to probably log out and log back in, by the way, when you see these errors. Don't worry too much about that. That's kind of normal for GNOME to do that. So I really wouldn't stress if some of them give errors. We'll sort that out just by logging out and back in. And then I use bar taskbar. There we go. So quite a few extensions we're going to install. Again, I'll make sure that I've sort of got a screenshot of all the different ones that I use, but you can basically follow along. You might have to actually follow along with this video, to be totally honest, because you have to configure some of them in a specific way. And if you don't do that, you don't end up, obviously, with the same sort of look and feel. So, what was the other one? Dash to dock, right? Okay, so we also don't use the Ubuntu dock, we just replace it with dash to dock. Just a little bit more flexible. And I'm just going through this, so really you can just follow along with what I'm doing here and just pause the video, sort of if you're not keeping up. But we're just basically grabbing all the extensions we need, all in one go. And then I do use OpenWeather. I don't, some people don't like having sort of the clock and OpenWeather at the top for sort of a more detailed weather than the sort of main overview of weather. That's totally up to you. I'll install it and show you how I set it up anyway. But that's personal preference, that kind of thing. And it's not even available, so maybe OpenWeather is not updated for a later version. So maybe you don't have that option. So let's take a look. Incompatible. Okay, so I wonder what version I'm running of GNOME here, because this is going to be fairly up to date. So maybe it's not quite updated on the testing version. 42-bit beta. Yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing that extension has not been updated for this version of GNOME yet. So you may have to use version 40 or something like that, which is like the current version of Ubuntu, rather than the sort of testing release to get this widget. But I'll show you how to configure it just from my own settings over here later on. And then replace activities test. Yeah, that's what I like. Let's get that one. And user themes. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all of the ones I need. And if we go to installed extensions now, they're pretty much going to all be installed except for... we could just turn that off, I don't need that. Except for that one error. So we'll log out and back in and just make sure that there aren't any errors. So log that out. And let's get back in there. Okay, so everything's looking a little bit different already, but we still have quite a bit to do. So let's open up our extensions. Dash app, isn't it? No? Maybe you have to install that. I'm just going to figure out how to install the extensions app and then come back to you. So let me pause the video for 1 second. Okay, so I just figured this out. So I had to basically install a package called gnome-tweaks, which for some reason did not come with the distribution. I mean, again, I'm not too sure if this is just specific to Ubuntu, and I'll make sure that I sort of put this information in the sort of thing, so you can copy and paste. But when I installed that, then I got this extensions app, which is what I'm used to using. And in fact, it opens exactly as one would expect. So yeah, if you're missing this application, I think it's just installing gnome-tweaks, as you see here, and you should be good to go. So that's at least what I'm sort of used to using to configure these sort of extensions. I'm not sure if this is sort of changing, which is why this isn't included by default in sort of later versions. I have no idea. But we'll find out, I guess, when Ubuntu comes out. So let's start by just configuring each of the sort of extensions, just so that we can sort of start off. And you'll notice, again, that there's no errors now. They're all basically, after a log out and a back in, they're all perfect. So this one, I believe, does not have any... Yeah, I don't change anything. So this top one is kind of just the default. Arc menu is kind of a little bit more custom. So let's start by changing arc menu. And arc menu, we're going to say we want it to dash to dock, which is what we've installed. And you'll notice that basically, can I get my mouse down here? I think I might, because this isn't a VM, I might have a little trouble sort of making this display. Normally, like on this kind of screen, when it hides, you can sort of drag your mouse to the bottom and lift it back up. It's kind of a little difficult for me in this situation where it hides, and then I don't have an easy way of sort of bringing it back up in a VM. So we'll just have to just be aware of that. So I'll just make sure I don't make these things too big. I can't make that any bigger anyway. Okay, so let's take a look at sort of the settings. So we want dash to dock, and I believe that's the only setting there. Let me just check on the next one. Okay, so here we choose more menu layouts, which is going to be the more modern version, which is 11, I think. It's not here. Windows. Oh, there it is, called 11. Gotcha. I just didn't see that. Okay. Okay, so we've got 11 as our... Oh, did this not choose? I went modern 11. Okay, so why is that not choosing? Do I click? Oh, I think I have to click apply. My bad, I didn't see the apply button up there. I don't go into these sort of configurations very often, so you'll just have to bear with me when I don't see those kind of things. Menu theme will be override, I believe, and then we kind of just make it a little bit nicer. So what can we do here? We can choose, I think those menu backgrounds are fine. Actually, I think we just tick that option on and then it basically sorts itself out. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's basically what we do. I think you can make this slightly more, it's kind of a little bit transparent, you might not see it, but I think you can change that. Not actually sure how. Maybe it's one of these options. Not sure. Okay, so let's go to customize menu. We're just gonna, I'm not too worried about it if I'm being totally honest with you. This is kind of the defaults, kind of fine. I guess you could actually just leave it on default here. I don't think I modified this very much. Did I? Oh, it was here, override. Actually, it looks kind of identical. I actually don't think there's much difference. Mine is ticked for here. Maybe I was just messing around in here and forgot to turn this off. I don't actually know, but you can fiddle around in there and change it however you want it. These all look kind of similar to my settings. Okay, override menu location I do have turned on, and I put that on to bottom centered. Okay, so this is going to center it if I apply it. Okay, so this is going to center this menu, which I prefer, rather than having it where the menu, actually open where the menu is. And then I think I moved this to the other side later on as well, so I'll show you how to do that. And if we carry this on, I'm pretty sure that's pretty much all I change in arc menu, to be honest. I don't think I change anything else. Oh, I think I might change the appearance of the icon, which is over here. And I think I just give it like sort of a more distribution specific icon, basically. browse icons, that's where you go. I think I just choose one that's sort of relevant for your distribution that you're using. Probably something like that, or that, I don't know. Yeah, let's just go with that. That looks pretty good. So you get like sort of a more customized to your specific distribution that you're using. And I think that's pretty much that. So let's move on to the next thing. This one I think I have most settings turned off. Yeah, definitely do. I think I have all of those turned off except for dash and overview, and if I go further down, rounded workspaces, I think I turn that on. Okay, and then further down I think I reduce some of this. Actually that looks pretty much correct. Okay, so we leave it just like that basically. So blame my shell, I think you guys are probably aware of that one already. Most people use this extension. Yeah, I think I just leave it on the defaults. Looks pretty good just by the defaults, so we'll just leave it like that. And patience, I'm pretty sure I just make things a little bit quicker, just my preference, because I don't like this sort of slowness otherwise. And no overview on startup, there's nothing to configure. Open weather we said, I'll just show you on open weather here, it's pretty basic, but you basically just set your location, nothing in there I don't think, and then you just set sort of your temperature units. So if you're sort of civilized, you can use degrees Celsius. If you're some sort of strange person that uses Fahrenheit for some reason, you can set it there. And then I think I just set it sort of centered, so that when I open it, it's centered. And I think I might have to adjust the slider slightly just to sort of make it more centered, but essentially it's just these settings that you see here on the screen. So you don't have that one in here, but that's how you would configure that if you wanted that. And then replace activities text, I'm pretty sure I just changed the text to be, so I choose no logo, and I'm pretty sure I just changed the text to be activities. Just to sort of, yeah, that is exactly what I do. Just to sort of keep it nice and neat, basically. Patience might be a little bit quick. Yeah, that's very quick. Okay, we'll leave it on quick anyway. User themes, we configure that here. And it should be set to, okay, we'll have to come back to this because it doesn't have the theme that I want to use. So we'll come back to this later on. And desktop icons we don't use. It doesn't work well, particularly with Conky. So if you do use desktop icons, you might want to not use Conky. And I don't use Ubuntu dock, we use dash to dock, which we had turned on up there basically. And I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, if we sort of are getting there now, we've sort of sorted out our themes sort of settings at this stage. So let's move on to sort of the next sort of steps that we need. So I'm going to fire up Edge again, and I think there is be a download link that I need to, you'll download the same sort of pack. So let me go share and grab a link. Okay. Perfect, so I'm just going to paste this link in here. It's going to let me download this file, which I've put a whole lot of files in here which we need. So let's grab that. So you can see I use a lot of actually Microsoft applications in my day-to-day sort of stuff. So I don't think there's anything wrong with sort of the Microsoft way. I think actually they work pretty well. All of the sort of Microsoft stuff. I actually like Edge as a browser. So maybe you'll find the same sort of thing once you sort of get going. So let's grab this. Can I not just drag and drop? No. Okay, I have to click extract. Okay. Alrighty, okay. Okay, so let's go into here. So here we have sort of the desktop wallpaper, and I think I put a theme logo on here, which I'll show you how to do that if you weren't 100% sure. We'll do that one first actually. So we'll go set as wallpaper. You could just leave it at this actually if you wanted. You can just see it's actually quite a nice wallpaper. I think it came from the default OS X sort of wallpaper pack at one stage. But if you wanted to theme it, you could just get your whatever distribution you're running. You could just search for the logo. So we'll search for Ubuntu logo in this case. and it should have a transparent background, so you choose one that you like. Which one seems nice? Maybe I'll just choose, maybe just this one. Okay, so we'll save this. Save image as, I can't do that. Save image as. We'll save that to our pictures. And if we install Kritzer, we'll be able to sort of theme that, so I believe that's what I need. Okay, so we'll just grab that, and we should be able to then theme this picture with this logo if you wanted to do that. It's totally up to you. I'll just show you how to do it really quickly because it's kind of easy. Okay, sure. And if we carry on here, not actually sure what it did there. Kind of was distracted by that crash report. So obviously this is Ubuntu testing, so I'm guessing there's some issues with it. I'm not too sure what exactly crashed there, but sure, it said something did, so okay. Okay. Ubuntu is kind of a strange operating system, at least for if you don't use this as sort of your daily driver. It seems to interfere with you quite a bit. Whereas if you sort of are more used to sort of the Debian way, it sort of gets out of your face and doesn't sort of bombard you with these kind of messages. But I guess, you know, this is more. I actually have no idea what it's doing or what the point of actually even sending that is. It seems kind of pointless. Probably we should just. You just shouldn't do this. I'm kind of not even sure what I was trying to open. Okay. I mean, I have absolutely no idea what Ubuntu is expecting me to do at this point. After sending a crash report, it's taken me to this sort of website. Yeah, okay, if that's how Ubuntu works, sure. Instead, we're going to just ignore that and carry on with what we were actually doing. And I'm going to grab this menu I normally put on the other side. I will show you how to change that later on. Okay, so Grit is almost installed. I think it's just finishing up here. Maybe what I'll do is I'll show you in the meantime how to change that. So I think I may not be able to remember how to do it, but it'll be something like this. Deconf. Does this not come with the distribution? Okay, so it seems like there's quite a few things that Ubuntu doesn't come with that are fairly useful. Not 100% sure why that is. So, but you can just presumably apt-get these and kind of be okay once you have them. These kind of settings are very useful to sort of be able to manipulate, especially if you're theming. And so I want to move this to the other side, so I think that would be somewhere like GNOME, so it'll be like org GNOME, probably window manager or something like that, or shell window manager. No, it'll be like I may have to just pause the video, have a little look around in here, and then tell you what I'm trying to manipulate. So let me just pause this for a second, and when I find the setting, I'll tell you where it is. Okay, so I kind of found the setting. So if I go back, it was in org gnome-shell extensions. I kind of was in the correct location, I just couldn't remember. And then it's in dash to dock, and you kind of go down to the bottom here. And which one was it? It was one of these ones, show. And one of these ones, now I've kind of forgotten where I put it. It was, oh, there we go, show application button on the left, or show apps at top. And you can see this just kind of switches this kind of menu around, which kind of puts it in a more convenient location on the left hand side. At least it's more logical, in my opinion, to sort of have that there. And that gives you access to sort of all your apps whereas the dock then is sort of used for sort of the apps that you use the most, right? And then another thing that I like to change, actually this already has it, on some distributions in GNOME, you'll sort of come in here and it won't have all of these buttons. It will have only like the close button. Some of the buttons will be missing. So on Ubuntu that seems not to be the case, but I think the GNOME default is to only give you one button, and that can be edited under one of these settings here. So it'll be like shell, I believe. Shell, is that no? It'll be GNOME. Let me find this one as well. I might have to pause and come back to this. Some of these settings are a little tricky to find, especially when I'm trying to talk to you guys as well. So just let me pause it and find it and then come back to you. Okay, I got it. It was GNOME Desktop and then Window Manager. That was what I was looking for, the Window Manager preferences. And then if you go in here, you can see the button layout, which says arrangement of the buttons on the title bar. And if you were to sort of minimize, maximize, close is kind of what I'm used to. But I believe in certain versions of GNOME that it just has the close button and it just looks like this, if I'm not mistaken. So if you only have one button here, you can definitely sort of modify it to be minimize, maximize, and close, and you'll get sort of the various buttons that you want there. So that's just one other setting to sort of be aware about. And you can obviously customize a lot of stuff in here for you to sort of get used to using this deconf editor. But I believe that this is pretty much, we're getting quite far now. We've got basically this theme is starting to look fairly similar to what we have here. And it'll just be a few more things. I think I reduced the size of this dock, and I think I do that. I'm not 100% sure how I do that actually. I must have missed how to do it. I think it's in dash to dock. Is it in dash to dock settings? Oh yeah, so I think I just reduce it down, I think probably to a little bit smaller. Yeah, that looks about the same size. Just so you can sort of have more apps along the bottom. I mean, you can see I generally have quite a lot of apps open, so that just makes it look a little bit neater, I think. Okay, so let's close that. And we'll have our smaller dock now. And then the other thing I want to do is show you how to now get sort of the themes going. Oh, I was going to show you, I kind of almost forgot, just in terms of Critter, how to add that logo. So you may not be sort of super familiar with using sort of an image editor like this, but I'll show you it's kind of easy, so you don't need to stress out. Let me show you that quick. And pictures, I think I put it here. The logo here. Okay, so the Snap application takes a little while to open the very first time you run it. That's kind of just an issue with snaps. But on the other hand, snaps are very convenient, and I do use them a lot myself. So what we're going to do is just open up the original image, which will be under, is it downloads? Can't really remember. Home, downloads, I think it's in here. Okay, yeah, I got it. Okay, and we're going to add the, okay, we're going to add the logo in here, so we're going to go image. I think you can drag and drop, I believe. Let's try it. Insert as new layer. Yeah, okay, this is looking pretty good. So we want the move tool at this stage, which, is this the move tool? No. Move tool, okay. So what you would do, you will obviously notice that this, you can obviously resize this, by the way, maybe I'll do that. And you'll notice that obviously it's kind of white, but we don't want that, so what we normally do is we sort of transform this sort of image. So I believe it'll be a filter, and it will be a filter that is alpha, color to alpha, that's what we want. Okay, and we're going to basically say white. Yeah, okay, so it's already selected white, and you can see now that it's sort of become transparent, so that's perfect. And we also want to resize it, so that would be image. I don't understand. Ubuntu seems to have a lot of issues on this testing thing, and it keeps wanting me to send reports about it, but okay. I mean, I haven't had any sort of issues that I've noticed, but according to Ubuntu I have. But let's just forge on in this. It's only a virtual machine, so we don't need to worry too much. And what I'm going to do is resize this, which is probably under transform, is it not? Transform, and we're going to basically say scale layer to a new size, and we're going to make it smaller, which will be, let's make it 300, right? So it's probably going to be a much smaller logo, and then we can just move it sort of where you want it. Kind of working in a very small window here, but that's okay. So it's kind of a basic thing that we're doing, and we're going to call this night logo. And I saved it under pictures, okay. And let's just make it max quality there, so just your quality up to 100. And let's come back here, night logo, and we're going to set that as the wallpaper. And immediately find that it didn't work. Ah, okay. It's definitely there. Maybe this is not centered or something. See this wallpaper. Huh, that says it's there. Maybe this is off this edge of the screen or something. I'm not too sure how I would change that. Let's go to gnome-tweaks and have a look. So this is sort of real time when you see things aren't working as expected. Okay, because it's Zoom. Yeah, so you can basically, this is how you would tweak things if things are not happening as expected. You're seeing me sort of in real time and try to resolve this. I think it should be on stretched, yeah. Okay, so the logo archos, it's kind of a little bit warped. You would have to go in here and sort of fix that, depending on your setup. Maybe it's because I've got an odd resolution. Scaled. Yeah, okay, so the wallpaper that I've got here kind of has a weird black bar on the top and the bottom. I think that's just down to the resolution that I'm running to in this VM, whereas if it was a more standard resolution, that wouldn't happen, basically. Scaled, expand. I'm not too sure what all the differences are between these, but we'll leave it on this one and just have it a little bit stretched at the moment. My resolution is definitely odd, so... But yeah, my resolution is 3:2, so if you were on a 16:9 resolution, you wouldn't get that sort of strange scaling issue, but I have to kind of keep things a little bit smaller. So if you were on, say, a 16:9, which would be or something like that, something like that would be a default sort of resolution that most monitors are. Whereas I've chosen this sort of strange resolution, and so I'm getting a bit of a stretching sort of appearance here. But you know, that's something that you can just fiddle around with and fix depending on your specific configuration. Moving on to sort of the next part, over here we had the how to theme document. Here's some themes we want to get. Here's some of the commands that you're going to run, and I'll update this before uploading the final version with the extra stuff we had to put in there. But we want to grab these themes basically, and we'll come back to Conky after that. So let's do this basically. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a terminal here. If that's okay. Let me just pause really quickly, and then I'll come back. I just need to actually do something else. Okay, so I'm just going to make myself a little directory here under downloads, probably. So let's do that. Let's just make things a little bit easier. So cd theme, was it? Downloads, yeah. Okay, so we're just going to make a directory here. Let's call it themes. Okay, and there's nothing in there. So now we're just going to paste sort of this into here, and we're going to git clone all of these different themes that we use. I believe actually the very last one actually you don't need, because I think if you use Ubuntu, yeah, Ubuntu comes with this by default. So basically I'll show you how to do this if you're on a distribution that didn't come with Yaru by default. But Ubuntu, actually you could skip this step, but I will show you how to do this process, you know, just so you understand what's happening. Just, of course there's no code. I don't know how you guys actually manage on Ubuntu, so let's just do this. Okay, there's like some basic packages that really should be included in most distributions, and we're just going to paste that. And what you'll find is if we go to themes down, we're going to get sort of folders that have information in them that we're going to then manipulate as we can, right? So yes, we'll do a couple at the same time. I'm going to sort of copy both of these, and that one's finished, so we'll just move on. We're going to get all of them and then manipulate them as we want them at the end. And Yaru, okay. So here we have all of the different themes we might want. And basically, out of these four, I think we use, I'm just going to check actually on mine. So let me just open up gnome-tweaks. I'm just going to basically show you. So on here, I think I pretty much use Vmix for the application theme, the icon theme of Tila, and the sound theme of the final one, Yaru. Okay. So okay, I'm actually not sure what I use that for. Oh, that might be... I'm not sure if I use that one. Actually, this might be something else that I was using. If we don't end up using that, that's okay. I mean, basically the process that I'm undertaking here is to download these themes and manipulate them how I want. Okay, so I've got Vmix, Yaru colors. What was the other one that I needed? Tila, did I not get that? Okay, let's just get that one. Yaru colors. Oh, maybe I didn't. Tila icon. I get that. Basically, because I wasn't in the correct location, was I? Okay, so let's just go MV. And we want to put that into home. What was it called? Themes now. And what was the other one? Yaru. Okay, I think we should be good now. Okay, good. So we've got all four here, and that's presumably finished downloading. So now what we do is we need to install the applicable themes, and they actually have the instructions. If you read the README, pretty sure it'll just be a -a, color variants -a. Yeah, so you want all the color variants, otherwise you just get a couple. So basically all you have to do, very basic actually, is cd into the directories, Tila icon theme, and we should have install. So let's just put that first. Okay, and I did it totally wrong after I just told you that we needed to put -a on the end. Okay, so let's do that again. Okay, while that one's installing, we'll do sort of a similar thing here. Okay, so we did icon theme, I believe. Was that the one we were doing? Icons, yeah. And we want to now do Vmix. So also, you can change the preferences of this. I really don't like the default. Very difficult to read this information, in my opinion. So again, I just would change this somewhere here. And what colors do I use? I'm just going to compare it to my one. Colors is just gnome dark, and the built-in scheme gnome. Okay, so let's just sort of set it the same. Gnome dark and built-in scheme gnome. Okay. Use transparency. No, we don't need that. Okay, so that makes things a little bit more legible, in my opinion. These sort of blues were kind of pretty dark before making those sort of basic changes. But you can sort of experiment. There's actually loads of colors here. Yeah, this one's kind of fine, I'm pretty sure. So we'll go with that. Okay, so themes done for the mix. And that probably also has a install.sh. Yeah, it does. It's probably also a okay, sure. Okay, so it's just going to put package on and then install that theme, so that sounds good. So just kind of let the installer script run. This is just from the theme maintainer that this is putting all of that on. The other two, if I go back, was we've done those two, and Yaru colors, I don't think we actually use this. So maybe I was using this for something else in the past. Yaru colors. I don't remember, but there are some themes you can. Yeah, there's quite a few in here. Yaru made. I actually don't know if I was using those. I don't believe so, but you can fiddle around with those. Or maybe I was just testing something. But the other thing I want is the sounds from Yaru. Now this, I'm pretty sure, comes with Debian. Ubuntu. It didn't come with my distribution. Because if I go, yeah, you see, you already have Yaru as the sound if you are a Ubuntu user. Other distributions won't have that. And I actually don't like the default sounds that came with Debian, and so I had to change this myself. And it's actually quite easy to do that. I'm just going to show you how to do that. So, if I was to go to, I'm just going to take a quick look on my computer just so I can remember how to do it. Let me just pause this a second and I'll come back. Okay, so even I have to kind of remind myself sometimes how to change some of this stuff. But I've kind of taken a look how to remind myself how to do this. So what I'm going to do is make a new sound theme in addition to sort of what is already listed here, just in case you couldn't install this or it didn't come with your distribution. So the way to do that is actually pretty straightforward. We just go into the Yaru theme that we've just git cloned and copy the sounds, I think. No, we go into sounds. Okay, this is what we want. We want this sort of stereo directory. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically go copy these folders and paste them into our .local. So you may have to turn on show hidden files in GNOME, but you'll have a .local and a share directory. And there's your sounds folder. If this folder doesn't exist, you can create it if it's blank, although it looks like it's kind of created even if it's empty by default. And we want to put in something in here, and we'll call it a folder name like Yaru manual. So you know this is sort of just to distinguish this between the one called Yaru already and sort of this manual copying of sounds. And we're going to paste these into there. And then the other thing we want to do is actually give it a name. So the sound theme will be something like index.theme will be something like say Yaru manual as well. Something like that, I don't know. And then the directories are stereo, which you may modify that if that was not called stereo, but this actually looks kind of perfect at this time. So we're going to go like that. And then what we'll find is if we open gnome-tweaks, over here, do I need to reclose this? Yeah, I think I need to close and come back in. So let's do that. Appearance. Let me just pin this to favorites. This did not work, so let me just double check what I've done wrong. Again, if things don't work, I'll figure it out and then I'll come back to you, but this should have worked, so just bear with me 1 second while I figure out why it didn't, and I will come back to you. Okay, so after a bit of fiddling, I've kind of figured out what happened here. For some bizarre reason, this name, it didn't like this name here, so if I was to just call it Yaru manual theme like this, I did remove these white spaces because I thought maybe that was causing an issue, but it wasn't. But if we were to do that, I believe this will fix it now. So let's go take a look. It's still not working. Okay, just bear with me 1 more second. I thought that had resolved it. Give me a second. Okay, guys, so some of you probably saw this before me, but for some bizarre reason, this file is named index.theme.in, and I hadn't noticed that when I copied that over, and that's clearly going to cause a whole lot of issues. So you need to rename that to be index.theme without the in on the end. And if you don't do that, then it just doesn't work. And I believe actually you just leave that named sound theme, and then the name of the theme is what you put in here. And if I've done everything correctly now, and apologies for not seeing that, but I just did not see it. Now you can choose manual theme right here, which I've just created, which you saw me make that over here, and that allows me to change my sound theme to something a little bit nicer. This Yaru sound theme, by the way, actually is actually very good. It is the default of Ubuntu, I believe, and works pretty well. These other things that we change, I'm just going to show you now. I don't think I need to do too much, so if I compare it to my one here, I think I choose Vimix Dark Amethyst. Dark Amethyst is that one. Yeah, that's what I choose, and then I choose... Oh, the cursor, I think I don't ever need to really change that. If you had a white cursor, essentially a cursor that, instead of a black cursor, I use the dark themes. You could fiddle around with this and just get sort of a black set of cursors, but it looks like I don't need to change that. I don't think I ever have to change it, I think it's automatic. And then this will be Tila Purple Dark. And that should change all my icons, by the way. The shell is going to be Vimix Dark Amethyst as well. Dark Amethyst. Yeah, so now we are looking pretty good at this stage. Yeah, you see all my icons have now sort of updated to a more modern sort of look, as well as all my sort of folder icons and everything else. So actually here we're looking like we're kind of almost done at this stage, except for some fonts issues. As you'll see, these fonts, I really don't like the sort of default fonts that Ubuntu chooses. In my opinion, they're not very bold, they're not very strong. They kind of come across as sort of like a weak sort of typeset font you might use like in a sort of letter to your boss or something. Whereas I sort of prefer a stronger sort of font that's sort of making a statement on your desktop. I mean, at the end of the day, this is something you look at all day long. I kind of feel like the interface should be fairly strong and convey that same sort of impression to you, rather than sort of weak and sickly as the sort of fonts that you sort of get by default from Ubuntu. So we're going to move on to sort of fixing that. And the way to do that is if we go back to the How to Theme folder, which has all the stuff in it. It's just got a nice little pack of fonts here. These are a whole lot of fonts from Microsoft, actually. And I really like this Skeena font from Microsoft. And we're going to copy that. And I think there's some fonts in here that I use as well. But basically what you do is you just copy all of these fonts into your home directory .fonts. And if you don't have a .fonts, you can just copy the entire .fonts folder. So in my case, I didn't have a .fonts folder, so I'm just going to paste these in so that they're selectable, basically. And fonts, and I see that arc menu is kind of broken, so I'm just going to go and fix arc menu. Sometimes when you sort of fiddle around, things will get broken, basically. That's okay. When you're sort of fiddling around, let's just turn it off and back on. And let's sort of change this icon as well. So let's just fix that. Menu theme, was it button appearance, icon, browse icons. Ubuntu icon that was there sort of changed to circle, so that's kind of weird, but okay. Let's fix that. So we're all back to how it needs to look. Great. And if I go, yeah, we're all back to the blurred shell and everything. Okay. So if we go here, and we look at our fonts, I should have now a font for Conky in here, which is, I think, Period 1P, and that's Skeena font. Yeah, that one. Okay, so this is the font that we're going to use for Conky, and that was in that font that I just copied over, and the other one is going to be called Skeena, which will be down here somewhere, Skeena, this one. And this is sort of a nice bold font, although we do use the regular one. But you can see it's fairly strong, and actually creates a nice impression, I think, anyway. So let's carry on with that. And the way we're going to do this is go to fonts, basically. And we're going to change this to... actually, I do use Skeena Bold, so I do like a stronger font, clearly. So let's go to Skeena Bold, which will be Skeena Bold, right. And Skeena Bold will be down here. And okay, legacy window tiles, I think I use Cantorol. It's just another little font, which is a little bit nicer than the... this Ubuntu one looks kind of kid-like, in my opinion. I kind of prefer a little bit more of a sort of more strong professional kind of font, at least in my choices. Let's see if I got it. CA. Actually, doesn't look like Ubuntu has it. CAN. Okay, so I didn't know this font wasn't missing, but I use Cantorol Bold as... yeah, which Ubuntu does not have. So, legacy window tiles. I guess I don't have very many legacy window tiles, so I'm not going to worry about it. You could download this fault, Cantorol Bold. This was included with Debian. I assumed it would be sort of included with other distributions. Apparently not in Ubuntu. But I'm sure this is a free font that you can download somewhere, and you could set your legacy window tiles, if you ever have any that you come across, to this font, Cantorol, which is a little bit nicer, in my opinion, than that one. In fact, I can show you that if I go to fonts on my computer, and go to Cantorol, CA, which will be up here somewhere. There we go. This is kind of what that font looks like, in my opinion, nice and strong. This is the kind of fonts that I like to be working with, especially on a daily basis. And then we might just, I don't think that's fully changed, but we might have to log out and back in just to sort of get the fonts to update nicely. So let's do that really quick. Close all that and log off. And back in. Okay, so here we should get pretty much everything, yeah. So we get our nice sort of modernish font. And it was gnome-tweaks, right? So fonts, yeah, we got all our fonts basically working nicely now. Things are looking a little bit nicer. Is that changed? Let's just do something a little bit different. I guess it was changed. Either way, that's how we're going with this for now. It should look like this, basically. Not 100% sure if it's kind of hard to tell in a VM. I have to be honest with you. It looks a little bit different, but I'm not sure if that's just a VM. If there's some issue with the fonting, you can tell me and I'll figure it out. But, at the screen resolution, it's difficult for me to tell the difference, to be totally honest with you. So we're going to leave it at that. And the last thing we're going to do is configure Conky, which will be... Okay, Ubuntu Pro. I actually have no. Ubuntu asks me a lot of questions that I have absolutely no idea what it's asking me half the time. It's kind of maybe one of the reasons why I don't use Ubuntu. But we want to install Conky, and that'll be sort of this last setup. And the way to do that is actually pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, the Conky that I've created is kind of a bit of a mess. If someone wants to fix it, who knows how to use Conky, you're more than welcome. But essentially, if I go to how to theme, we're going to end up with a whole lot of different sort of things to put in different places, and you need to choose a city for it to pick the weather up from, and choose an open weather key. Now, the settings that you're going to want to edit inside of Conky is the city ID here. This is kind of where it's going to get this information over here. It's kind of a weird theme. Let's just change the theme here. View. Font and colors. Okay, Yaru dark. Okay, there we go. So here's the kind of theme that we're going to be looking at. I'm actually not sure what theme I actually use for this particular program on mine. I could have a quick look. Let's have a look here, because mine doesn't, yeah, mine's a little bit different. So preferences, fonts and colors, Oblivion. Oh, okay. So there are some little themes that I'm obviously forgetting that I've changed from time to time, but you might want to, you know, if you come across things that don't look exactly the same or look a little bit odd, you can just let me know, and I'll go and check what I use. But my stuff's definitely all nice and neat and looks kind of easy to use. I kind of went for an easy to use option. The city theme you get from the citylist.json file. You have to basically open this and look for your city basically, and each one has a different ID which you paste into that location. So let's say I lived in, I don't know if there's going to be a recognizable sort of location. There's a lot of locations in this file, as you can tell, so I'll try to find one that's semi recognizable just as a test. Actually, I have no idea which ones to choose. Okay, let's just choose okay, let's just use the city ID. It really doesn't actually matter, just for the purposes of this test. This is so we get some weather information. And did I have this open? So you would paste that in the city ID here. And then the other thing you would paste is an API key, and you get that from Open Weather Map. You basically have to sign up for that. It's totally free. It's not just basically they don't want everyone using the same API key, and so you sign up for sort of a free account and you get a key, and that key you type in there. So API key. So that's all basically. So let's just go how to start work with an open API. So how do you get it basically? You basically have to create an account, and inside the account you get a key. And I'm not going to show you how to do that exactly. But basically, if too many people use the same key, the key just gets deleted. So you can't. I basically, if I was to put in my key here, and then 50 million people use this, then everyone's weather information would just stop working. But it really is just as simple as opening up a sort of free account. In here somewhere, I can't remember how you do it exactly, but you just request an API key, and then they give you this key, and you sort of paste the key into this section. And what I'm going to do is I'll pause the video here, paste in the key I normally use, and then sort of obscure it so you don't notice what I put in there. And just if I wasn't to do that, all that would happen is when Conky loaded, it would have no weather information. There would just be dashes on the top and bottom of each of these things. So to avoid that happening, I'll just put that in there, then save and resume sort of when I've done. But that's the one part you'll have to sort of do on your own, basically. So bear with me 1 second. Okay, so I've basically edited that and put my city key in there, and then all you're going to do is basically just paste this this config file into obviously your home directory, as well as some of these other things. These ones go in your home directory here. You don't need to edit anything in there unless you want to fix up Conky a bit better. And then the other one is this goes in your cache directory, so in the .cache. So we're going to just go to our .cache directory. You'll definitely have this folder already. So just turn on hidden files if you don't see it, and paste that in there. And then obviously you can start up Conky, you know, with sort of a startup script as you normally would. I think there's like, I think Ubuntu has something called like startup applications or something. I could be wrong. I could be making that up. Wait, yeah, startup applications. Yeah, so you would add in Conky using this little applet. But depending on your distribution, you have a different way of adding a startup application. And then when you run sort of Conky after installing it, then it will basically pick up that config. And I believe this is pretty much done at this stage, and this is the end of how you would theme this. That kind of bugs me, this logo that's kind of stretched here, but other than that, if you had a sort of a more reasonable resolution, come on, not found. Okay, so something is definitely not working here. So let me just figure out what's not working and then come back to you. So let me just pause this video and I will find out what's wrong. Okay, so I think I figured this out. So basically, two packages were missing from this distribution, which was this package called JQ, which I went sudo apt-get installed JQ, and then the other package was gawk, which was sudo apt-get install gawk. And once you install that and you run Conky, it hopefully doesn't give a whole lot of errors, which is what I got sort of the first time. So actually there's more than one instance of Conky running there. So let me just kill all Conky and then restart just one copy of it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you basically saw exactly what happened there. If you kill Conky, there's nothing displayed, and if you run Conky over here, I'll just sort of run it and then minimize it quickly. It writes basically that script onto the screen, and that's exactly what you see here as well. So at this stage, I think pretty much theming is completed, if I'm not wrong, and I'm actually just going to just put that picture back. This has just kind of been bugging me a little while. I really didn't like the sort of edit that we did with the logo, so I'm just going to sort of make it without that. But this is basically how it would work, basically. And you've got sort of, I guess because this is a newer version of GNOME, you get sort of the sort of workspace switcher that switches in that way, which is a little bit, I think that's one thing that's different from mine. Yeah, that's one difference between mine and the new version. But you know, that doesn't really matter too much. That particularly wouldn't really bother me all that much. You can use the mouse to sort of switch between them. So I think there may even be an extension that would revert back to how it was, but for me personally, I wouldn't even bother. Both of these ways of switching workspaces is pretty convenient, if I'm being honest, and fairly similar. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. But in terms of everything else, you have pretty much how I would set up my system, with sort of a nice workflow, sort of easy to navigate, buttons, all of that kind of good stuff. And you can see this has basically worked all the way up to the latest GNOME, which is this 42 beta. Even the fact that this is GNOME 3 in the background here running, and GNOME, the latest GNOME here, it really doesn't make all that much difference. Your theming isn't complicated, it doesn't have to be complicated, and it can kind of get done. And as you get more comfortable with this, I'm sure, I mean, I'm a novice in doing this sort of stuff, but if you were sort of an expert, it wouldn't even take you as long as it's taken me to show you how to do this, basically. One other thing I just want to check is if the status bar icons appear if I have something in the status bar. So I just want to put on psensor because I know that has a some information that normally gets added up here. So I'm just going to check that's all working. Okay. Let's just put that on. Yeah, it does. Okay, so it adds the sensors up here. Okay, on mine I've got sort of temperatures and stuff, and you can configure this program to sort of do temperatures, but yeah, just something I like to personally have running. But it does add and have the ability to add additional icons up here, which I think was that one of the extensions that we installed allows this ability to add additional information up here basically, and that's what I wanted to just check was working. Okay, so I believe that's it. If I've forgotten anything, just let me know, but I do still have that picture open. So here's what we sort of started up with. This was sort of the default with everything on the left, and that was yeah, actually activities, and that does look a little bit different now. This was kind of the sort of default look that you had inside this window. And we've ended up with something like this, basically, which in my opinion is a little bit easier to use and neater. So that is essentially the entire process. Sorry for it being so long-winded. Kind of just did this just to help you guys out. So apologies if it's I'm not professional enough when doing this, but thanks for watching.